A woman in a supermarket tried to eject me from and take my wheelchair. So there I, 39N, was in a rural Shaw's. For those not in an area with a Shaw's, it's a standard supermarket with a club that makes things cheaper, which is their way of hiding their markup. Stuff is just cheaper a few miles down the road. Unfortunately, there were a few things I could only get there, like my flavor of Lifeblood caffeine and food for the dogs. I was using my power chair, which back then I needed more often. It's an Eagle HD foldable deal, and it works great. I had been hit pretty hard by post-COVID and was very sedentary at that time in my life, along with a pre-existing joint problem. So I'm leaning forward to get a flat of Monster and stick it under my seat on the rack when a woman pushes on my back and says, "I need that, you don't, you're younger." As I was belted in, nothing happened. It was only luck that I was belted in. Usually I would have undone it to pick up something heavy. I sat up and pushed her hands off of me, saying, "What the heck?" And she shakes the back of my chair like it's a dinner chair or something and goes, "You can use the scooter. The chair is better and I'm old." And she points at the horrible supermarket scooter she's using. I stare at her in total shock for a moment and say, "This is my wheelchair. Get away from me. You can't use personal stuff in supermarkets. Give me the chair." She started shaking it with each statement. So at that point, I just hit the maximum speed on my power chair and took off, ripping it out of her hands. It was either let go or be dragged on her face because she clearly wasn't super steady and needed a scooter herself. And we're off on the dumbest chase in creation, mostly because supermarket scooters go slower than any other mobility device. I buzzed over to the service desk and cut the line and said, "I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, but there's a woman following me trying to push me out of my chair and take it." And from behind me they can hear Jayite Bakak H. and the most wheezy buzz of the slow scooter. In the moment it was really enraging that she was being so entitled and frustrating, and I just wanted to get my dog food and leave. But in memory, it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. They let me into the little back office area, and they and the whole line of people waiting just sort of watched as she came over. And it took so long. The scooter was so slow, and she's yelling about how I don't need the chair and how she should get it because she's older and more disabled. It takes like a full 20 seconds for her to get from one end of the store to the other, and everyone is just staring as she rides full of glory at 0.00001 mph with her face red and her glasses hanging off one ear. So she finally gets to the desk, and they calmly explain that the wheelchair isn't store property, and if she tries to steal from another customer, they'll have to call the police. She starts shouting at the employees that she knows full well you can't bring personal equipment into the supermarket, so they're lying. And the other woman behind the counter says with a bit more attitude, "Lady, why do you think we care if you bring a wheelchair into the supermarket?" At this point, I think something either clicked, or she just realized that an entire line of people were staring at her, and not kindly. She suddenly asked where to find the artichokes. I almost coughed on my own spit. The worker just stared back and pointed back where the woman had come and said, "Produce?" And the woman left. I admit that for the rest of my visit, I avoided any aisle she was in because I didn't want her close enough to grab me again. Now I can laugh about it for the absurdist comedy moment it was. In retrospect, I feel there's a reason here. Like her husband told her they shouldn't buy a thing like I had because they're not allowed to be in the supermarket. That's the best answer I can possibly come up with for that wild nonsense. Wherever you are, crazy lady, I hope you bought your own Eagle HD. Story 2. Our neighbors have been having pool parties at our pool while we are not home for years. A few years ago, my husband and I purchased a house with a pool. Now we are acquainted with most of our neighbors, but definitely not close friends with any of them. They all seem nice, but just don't have much in common other where we live. Next door to the right is a family of 6, twin daughters attending the local university, high school-age son, and a young elementary school-age daughter, maybe 1st or 2nd grade, and the parents. Now, normally we open the pool in early May and keep it open until the end of October. But this year our weather was off, and we had a very cool and very wet month of May, and then June went straight to 100+ temperatures. I am currently on a medication that makes it difficult for me to tolerate being in the sun and heat for an extended time. Plus, we have been helping 2 extended family members who are having health issues. So, because of this, we haven't had our pool opened yet this year. Normally we go to the family lake house for a week during each of the 3 major holidays, but we didn't go for Memorial Day because there was flooding around the lake this year, and because a family member was just discharged from the hospital yesterday, and July 4th being a Thursday this year, we decided to stay home this week and be available to help this family member. Now, several times in June, the little girl next door has seen either my husband or myself outside, and she has asked when we are opening the pool. We first told her maybe later, but the last time yesterday, she asked, and I said we are probably just not going to open it this year, and she started crying. Now, we have never had any of the neighbors over to use our pool, so I didn't understand why she was crying over us not opening our pool. Well, I spoke with the neighbor on the left later, and apparently our neighbors on the right have been having a small family party at our pool every 4th of July when we are gone. They have always cleaned up really well afterwards, and because we have scheduled pool maintenance and weekly yard service, occasionally things are moved around in our yard, and we never thought much about it. The neighbor on the left thought we had given the other neighbors permission to use our pool. We did give them permission to retrieve any balls or toys that ended up in our yard, but never permission to use our pool, especially when we are not at home. We have a special latch on the gate, and my husband did show the neighbor how to open the gate to retrieve his kids' toys. So now my husband, who loves gadgets, is going to have several more cameras installed around the exterior of our house, covering the gate and pool area, and have the gate latch made where we can grant remote access for the pool service and yard men. Luckily, we have a friend who does cameras and home automation systems. I'm annoyed our neighbors have been using our pool without permission, but my husband is happy I am letting him get more gadgets around the house. Now, do we confront the neighbors and let them know we know they have been using our pool, or just wait and see if they say anything about our new security cameras? Update: I didn't expect this to blow up like it has. Certainly didn't expect over 1,000 comments. I've tried to read them all, and some were very creative and amusing to read. First of all, we don't want to hurt anyone or alienate our neighbors. We just don't want people using our pool without permission, and we don't want the liability associated with this activity. A few things I feel I need to clarify. Yes, our backyard is fully fenced in with 2 gates. One in back is double locked from the inside. The side gate on the side of garage nearest the neighbors in question has a double latch that you have to reach over the top and find not 1 but 2 releases to open the gate. There is also an auto close that automatically closes the gate and latches it. I personally can't open the gate from the outside of the fence because I can't reach over that far to reach the 2 latches. The previous owner put this in, and it has worked well for our yard crew and the pool maintenance people. We do have some cameras, a doorbell camera, and a camera over our garage area. The garage camera picks up if someone goes towards the gate from the front, but we didn't want to invade our neighbors' privacy by recording their side garage door and gate to their backyard. We even shared the camera angle with them because we didn't want them to be concerned about us recording their children or their coming and going. I guess we were more concerned about their privacy than they were about ours. On to the update. Thursday, July 4th morning, I was loading a few things in my vehicle to take to my cousin who just got out of the hospital. Neighbor/husband, who has been gone a lot for work recently, saw me and came over and asked if I was getting a late start going to the lake. I let him know that we were staying home because we are helping my cousin, who just got out of the hospital. He asked if we were going to be home all weekend. I said yes, one or both of us be around all weekend. He quickly wished me a happy 4th and went home. I went back in to grab my purse and tell my husband about the conversation with the neighbor before I left. When I got home, our friend, Mike, was there. Mike does security cameras and home automation systems, gadgets, and my husband loves gadgets. Mike and my husband have a plan for multiple cameras and several gadgets, some of which involve us going ahead and having the pool opened. I agreed to all but one of the new cameras and almost all of the gadgets. I think husband put some in the plan knowing he would have to give up a few of them. Mike also suggested talking to our homeowner's insurance agent because we might be able to get some discounts with the security upgrades. So on Friday the 5th, Tom, our insurance guy, comes over and Mike is back and he has a drone to help him find the best camera positions. Really, I think he just wants to show off his gadget. So husband, Mike, and Tom are outside and all around the house, and occasionally inside. I look outside every so often, and at different times other neighbors have come outside and down to our end of the street. So neighbors want to know what is going on. So husband tells them we are concerned that someone or several people may have used our pool without our permission while we were not home. It turns out that two different neighbors had witnessed some friends of the neighbor children come over last year, and they and the neighbor twins had gone into our backyard. One neighbor even asked the girls, and they claimed that we let them come over all the time and use our pool. So at this point, husband and Tom discuss this, and Tom says we should send a registered letter to the neighbors rescinding our permission from entering our fenced-in backyard. So before Mike and Tom left, the neighbors on the right, pool party neighbors, come home, both husband and wife. My husband asks to talk to them, and with Mike and Tom as witnesses, he tells them that for insurance reasons, we are rescinding our permission for them or any member of their family or guests to enter our fenced-in backyard. And we'll be sending a registered letter stating this, as requested by our insurance. Husband never accused them or their children of using our pool, but said we had reason to believe that in the past our pool had been used without our permission. He did say that we had reason to believe that their older children might be friends with someone who has been in our pool. Husband also told them that we are changing the gate to have an automated lock and cameras will be installed around the pool area. He also assured them that we avoid the cameras pointed at their windows or backyard. Husband indicated that we were taking these measures to hopefully lower our homeowners' insurance rates. Husband said that they exchanged a few looks between them, but they said they understood and appreciated the heads up. So hopefully the saga is over, but if there are any other updates, I will try and post them. Story 3. Karen accuses me of cheating on my wife with my wife. Hello Reddit, this story takes place a few years ago, and still makes me laugh. I'm a math teacher at a really high-class only ladies school. There we have a dress code, very formal, which is strange since we're in a beach city on a tropical county. Our principal, also owner, wants to implement the model that he saw at a school in London. Luckily, he put ACs in all the rooms so we don't die. But the worst thing about the school is definitely Karen. I don't have to work with her as much as other teachers do, but when I have to, she is a real pain in the ass. She's entitled, stubborn. It's impossible to have a normal conversation with her. Also, she always makes the simplest things way more complicated, and I suspect that she earns something on the side with that. I never said anything because, unlike my wife, I'm a really non-confront person, and I'm also afraid of her position with the owner. December comes, and the owner invites all of the employees to a party at his mansion. It was a pool party in the middle of summer. Needless to say that no one was going to dress formally. I arrived at the party with my wife, and we proceed to greet everyone. As expected, no formal clothes at sight. I introduced my wife to a few people who didn't know her. Everything was nice until Karen arrives. Karen arrives with her daughter Lucy, who is our best student that year, the same year that she graduated. She was going to a very prestigious medicine college. Every single one of us was proud of her, and Karen makes sure that the world knew how big of a genius her daughter was. Lucy was dressed in a cute sundress and bring a bag with I assumed was her swimsuit, but Karen, on the other hand, was wearing something really inappropriate. A very fancy beige dress with shining jewelry and a lot of makeup. She first looked at us with a look that says the star of the show is here, but quickly fade out as she noticed that everyone was dressed casually. In this moment, my wife was near the pool talking to a colleague of mine, and I was in the grill with the owner. They, Karen and Lucy, greet everyone and part ways as most of the ladies were going to wear their swimsuits inside the house. A few men decided to take their shirts off and jump in the pool while others didn't. Me, owner, and another friend keep working in the grill. Karen proceeds to walk to us. I forgot to mention that she is owner's niece and works at the school looking for and getting excursions and field trips. The conversation starts. Karen, well, looks like I'm the only one with some sense here. Owner, I told you it was a pool party. Karen, well, since it was one of your parties, it was expected from US, looking at me and friend, to have some class. Owner, let's see how long you endure this weather in your dress. Karen stomps up to the restroom. A few minutes later, the ladies came back all looking incredible, especially my wife in her black bikini showing off all her tattoos. She drew a little attention and she loved it. Wife and Lucy were chatting in the poolside while others ate the food or play in the pool. When Karen came back, she was livid, and I was the lucky one to be close enough to have to listen to her. She complains about everyone's swimsuits, how depraved they are, and how childish it is to play in a pool. She only stops when she sees my wife talking to Lucy. Karen, oh my God, who is that woman? Me. Oh, she's with me. Karen, she is with you? How dare you drag that woman to Mr. Owner's party? Me. Well, that's because she's my... Karen. Stop. I don't know why you brought your side chick here, but I'm telling your wife and Mr. Owner about this now. She stomps to the pool side and grabs Lucy's arm. Karen, get away from this woman. She's no good for you. Lucy, MLMWDF? Karen, you should be ashamed of yourself being a married man's mistress. Wife, what? Karen, we all know that OP is cheating on his wife with you, aggressively pointing at my wife. Until this moment, everyone was shocked with Karen's actions. But now some like me were in pure disbelief, others were chuckling, and others were trying to hide of cringe. But my wife is not like anyone else. She starts out loud laughing and looking at me, she says, Wife. Hey babe, it must be hard. I don't give you space, not even when you cheat on me. Everyone starts laughing, including Lucy and Owner. Karen was completely confused. I walk to my wife as she asks, and we show Karen our rings, matching with our initials. Wife. We are happily married and completed 5 years in last September. For the rest of the party, Karen was in the corner looking like a grumpy child who is grounded by her parents. The reason why I think Karen misunderstood things is because I always wear suits, so she thought that my wife must be some boring, respectable lady like her, and my wife was showing her tattoos, things that morons like Karen think that diminish your value as a person. I do have some tattoos, but I always wear my suit and wasn't shirtless at that time, so she didn't saw it. The reason why my wife and Lucy were so close is because my wife is a tattoo artist and has her own studio where Lucy got her first tattoo and piercing. Years later, Karen was fired and replaced with someone much cheaper and a lot more pleasant to work with. Didn't heard of her since. Edit. Karen knew about Lucy's tattoo and piercing, but they are more feminine. The tattoo is a flower on her shoulder and the piercing is in her navel with a beautiful jewelry. Corrected some misspelling, but as someone stated in the comments, I'm not a native English speaker. I never had an English lesson in my life. All I learned came from books and videos. I could easily talk to another math teacher in English about an specific topic on our field, but that's it. I'm sorry for my broken English.